Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome Christine van Zyl and Simone Ferreira and Jean-Luc Greyvenstein from Witwatersrand University. To our presenters, please note that you have 10 minutes for your presentation. Please introduce yourself to all of us and then fire away. Thank you.
Jean-Luc, we can begin.
Awesome. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Jean-Luc Greyvenstein, and I'm an instructional design intern within the University of the Witwatersrand. And I wanted to start off saying thank you for letting us humble interns grace your screens and speakers with today's presentation on designing and building for accessibility within learning management systems. The web is basically intended to function for everyone, regardless of technology, software, language, location, or aptitude. When the web achieves this aim, it's usable by persons with a wide variety of hearing, mobility, visual, and cognitive disabilities. As a result, the impact of disability on the web is drastically altered, since the web eliminates communication and contact hurdles that many people confront in the physical world. However, poorly designed websites, applications, technologies, or tools might create obstacles that prevent individuals from utilizing the internet. Accessibility is critical for developers and organizations who want to build high quality websites and online tools while not discouraging people from utilizing their goods and services. I'm just going to give a brief description of the fundamental principles of POUR, courteously borrowed from the World Wide Web Consortium. You'll notice it spells out poor, but the only thing pouring out of this presentation is knowledge. So please bear with me while we break it down. So first, we're going to start with P for perceivable. The term perceivable information and user interface refers to the fact that the material and information are easily available in more than one sense. Like all text for images or documents that are readable by screen readers without sounding like a rap battle, for example. Next, we have O for operable. When we use the word operable, we are highlighting that a system's user interface and navigation considers that not everyone uses a mouse. We need to consider if the material is navigable through a keyboard or a voice-operable device. Believe it or not, in this day and age, anyone can use a device, as they should. Think about if all your students have the means to navigate the learning material and not toil on end to read one page or understand the contents of a presentation. Then U for understandable. Understandable refers to information and user informations about students being able to comprehend the delivery of the learning material. Just because we can see it doesn't mean we can understand it. Is it a frightful wall of text or a dreadfully long video that says so much but offers so little? We don't need any of that. We have ESCOM. And finally, R for robust. Is the content adaptable to different browsers, devices, or various means of delivery, so that no matter who uses it with whatever means, the information is still available? I can describe that it feels like pulling teeth to find content that functions like Usain Bolt on a computer, but then takes a sabbatical on the next smartphone. So I will now hand over to my colleagues to expand on these points.
Hi, I'm Simone Ferreira. First, we're looking at perceivable. Now, perceivable is how users can identify the content and the interface elements by means of their senses. So whether it's a visual system or an audible system, however, what kind of system we're looking at. Now, a lot of it we term as normal because a lot of people don't have these disabilities. For example, color blindness as a disability. And while we can see the red and the green, a lot of colorblind people have difficulty interpreting the colors. So a best way to differentiate this and to help this and to make this accessible is to allow for wording. Now, instead of just relying on color, so let's say you're creating a quiz, and if you get the incorrect answer, then the color turns red to identify that you have answered incorrectly. Instead of only relying on the color, you now have a correct answer and the answer that you've chosen, which is the incorrect answer. Now it shows you that it's incorrect and it's the answer that you have picked, thus eliminating the idea that we're only relying on color to make this more accessible. So we are giving the words as well. And I'm going to hand over to Christine for
For the next one is operable. So to explain this, this one, I'm going to use a discussion tool as an example. Most LMS has some form of a discussion tool. In Canvas, the one we use at VITS, discussions are a space that provides interactive communication between two or more people. Users can participate in a conversation with an entire class or a group. There are many functions built into a discussion, but as we only have 10 minutes, I will only focus on the fact that you can choose to grade it using a rubric. This is where the term operational comes in. Canvas has an accessible navigation platform, but there are a few hiccups we have found that limits accessibility. In this discussion, you will see a common mistake we find that some lecturers make when they have never taught in an online space. Specifically, they only provide a discussion topic or a rubric. While a good discussion topic is vital, it doesn't help the student engage with the discussion. Giving instructions helps with the operability of the entire platform. The next example will show what I mean. So this is the rubric that we are sometimes given, and it is just like a wall of text. It's very difficult to read. And imagine if you have to navigate this with a screen reader device. The next example shows that you can show some instructions that you can have to show when, how, and how much a student is expected to engage in a discussion. There is guidance on how they are expected to formulate their thinking and to present it to their peers, in this case as an infographic. Then we finalize the discussion and close with how it would be graded, and then also a sentence on how you can see the rubric. And you can see how much easier this is to operate. When you think about just how you will present this to students. And Simone will be handling, I'll hand over to Simone to handle the next one.
Now we have understandable, and I'll boil it down to, will everyone understand what you mean if you use different fonts and colors, or will it be misinterpreted or misunderstood? As an example, I'm using this image here. I will always find you seems relatively harmless in the first font on the white screen. However, I will always find you in the red font sends an entirely different message and can be entirely misunderstood. It's very threatening. And there are different fonts that are used for accessibility purposes. We have the original accessibility fonts, which is so not only is it the font name, but it's the actual font that is used. So it's very clear, it's very cut, and it's very easy to understand. Now the inaccessible fonts, on the other hand, is very script-like fonts and very calligraphy fonts. While they look pretty and they do add a little bit of flair for your presentations, for your content, they are very difficult to read, as certain letters could be just misconstrued into other letters. For example, in the second Helvetica, it looks like Helvetica has two H's, when we know it's not correct, but it does look like that. And we can say, oh no, but the Arial font looks fine. That could be taken as true depending on the size of the font that we're using and how we are using it. So if the second Arial is used, if it is in a wide screen and it's very small font size, then no one's going to understand it. And then this could lead to a lot of confusion and just students being very overwhelmed with what is going on. And yeah, I'm going to hand over to Christine for our last letter.
And finally, we have robust. When we consider a robust system, we want our content and system to be reliable and consistent, regardless of the end user. Luckily, with Canvas, we know the system is robust to a point. It is accessible. The problem comes in when we add external tools to the LMS. One such example is crosswords. You might find this interesting, but facilitators love crossword puzzles. How can you not? They're a great tool, and to have people engage with the learning terminology, provided you can see. But this tool is not always accessible. For someone who cannot see this tool, it is extremely difficult to navigate. In some cases, we are given a crossword and asked to make an activity that can be graded. Excluding the fact that this is an external tool that doesn't grade the inputs, it is not a tool that is open to all students. On the next slide, you will see the solution that the VIT-CLTD came up with. They went back to what exactly a crossword is asking students to do. It is to give a term based on 2 clues, a definition and a tip on how many letters the word contains. They took these 2 factors and made a quiz with the same clues. Now we have an alternative that is accessible, gradable, and free of cortisol. That's robust. And Ndlovu will give some of our 3 tips.
Hi, so I understand that we don't have lots of time left, so I'm going to burn through this conclusion. So to conclude, we just want to leave you with 3 tips. In the chat room, we're just going to put a quick link for the International Standards Web Accessibility Initiative. You'll see some stories to help you learn different ways content is not accessible. Just remember, when you create content, consider whether it's exclusive or inclusive. If it's like an infographic, perhaps use a voice note as an alternative for submission, because do you need to grade them on how the content is submitted or what the quality of the content is. Finally, try to using some of your assistive technologies on your devices. There's nothing quite like seeing a screen reader in action. It is a bit scary at first because you do have a computerized voice yelling nonsense at you until your device has been optimized for it, but it's fine. And lastly, I want to say thank you to our hosts and all parties involved in making this event possible, and most of all to say thank you to our audience for being interested in making the online learning environment an accessible space for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. So I just want to know, are there any questions? I see that you have lots of comments, a nice alternative for a crossword. Romanda says, I love the session. Eugenie says, this was a great team. And Ferreira says, great presentation. I want to know, is there any questions from our audience? There's no other questions. Thank you so much for your presentation today. And we can then now log out and we can go to our next presenter, Lindeni. She's going to talk about empathy, mathematics, and course evaluation. Yes.
Anki, sorry to interject. We were asked to share the links for the competition. I just shared it as one of the files. I'm not sure if everyone can see it in the chat.
Okay, will you please add that for us in the chat, because we have very nice competition and prizes that you can enroll for. So please just fill out when you have the links. Can you share it?
I've shared it as content on the file. Let me just... I've shared it as content on the files, Anki. I'm not sure if I'm doing it right.
I think our participants will get the links in our next session then. Sorry for this. But in any case, please make sure that you enter the competitions, because yes, I see there's no links or anything at the moment, but I think that you will be able to see that in the next session. So sorry for that. But in any case, thank you for joining this session and thank you for a very good presentation. See you in the next session.